Hello, hello. Happy Monday, March 9th, 2026. Apologize for the slightly late start. Hello, Russell. Patricia, how are you? You're having a heat wave. Hans. I'll wait till people roll in here and we'll get cooking. Let's see the show hall. Yeah. I did. I originally at first I wasn't going to. I wasn't going to show it off, and that will become inherently clear. It should be clear already. Inherently clear. Once I tell you my trials and tribulations. Derek and Louise, hello. How are you doing? GT Racer. Gabriel. Good to see you. I did survive the show. I almost didn't make it. Oh, man. I am Glenn. How you doing? Welcome. I guess we'll start. So I will show you. I will show you a few of the things that I picked up. I'm not going to show you everything. I am gonna save a few tales and a few pieces for Friday's podcast. So you'll have to stick around and check that out this week. Colin, hello. How you doing? You're scouting for pens at the antique mouse while pest control does their thing in your apartment. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. You found a couple Parkers and an Estherbrook you don't need? Okay, but they're in your pile, right? You're buying them? Mark Robinson, how you doing? Welcome. They frisked me and questioned why I had a gallon of Dr. Jesus. Well, you know, it's funny. Not really, but let's start at the beginning. I think we got a good number of people in here. I just don't want to backtrack. Death sets are coming at a later date in a separate pod storage container. I was very disappointed at the incredible lack of death sets of any brand at the show. I mean, there were what? Were there 3 Estherbrook death spaces? I mean, there was a brown that was nice, but it was excuse me, fairly reasonably priced. But I think I saw 3. I know there were 2 at one table. Yeah, but there wasn't much of. Yeah, it was. I mean, I did well, and I think I would consider coming back next year. But I don't know. I have to do more advance. I think the trick is when you go to a show is you have to set up your stuff in advance. I mean, there are different types of people who go to shows, right? So, there's the person that goes in there and they're there to buy one pen. There's the person that goes there and they're to buy inks and papers. And there's a person that goes there for seminars, and then there's the complete newbie that's just like a deer in the headlights when they walk in the door. And then there are people like me who go to buy lots of pens, and then there are people above me, that buy that I can't even comprehend. It's a wonderful mix, a cornucopia of different types of collectors and users. And everybody's there. Everybody's got to plan their show differently, and I have to plan my show differently than a lot of people. But it was fine. I think I would go back next year. So let's start from the beginning. Thursday, I'm sleeping on the couch. No. Thursday, I had an early flight. 5:25. So when I bought my VIP badge, it said Thursday started at 11. You were a deer in the headlights at Ohio last fall? Yeah. Yeah. So the VIP badge says 11 o'clock on Thursday. Great. I got a 5:25 a.m. flight out of Appleton. Get to the airport an hour before. It's a half hour away. I get up early to eat breakfast. At 1:45, my cat decides he's going to jump up next to me and start purring. Wakes me up. And at some point, I'm like, well, how long? When are you going to stop purring? Because I'm not petting him. He's just laying there. He purred for 45 minutes. And so, of course, so I was awake at 1:45. Got to the airport, do TSA pre-check. That's worth its weight in gold. And I dropped my backpack on the conveyor belt. And I'm just praying. It's smooth sailing. The woman grabs my belt as it comes out and throws it through again because we need to look at this a little closer. And finally she says, are those calligraphy pens in there? I said, yes, they are. I'm going to a pen show. I said, oh, okay. You're good. So I almost got busted for having pens. So that was okay. Got on the plane. The flight there was okay. Got to the hotel okay. I'm ready to go. I can, I get to get in there, and I actually get my room immediately at 11 o'clock, which most people weren't getting their rooms till after 4 o'clock, but they had one ready for me, so that was great. Got that, threw out my stuff in the room, came back down, I got my backpack with me, and I see a couple folks, and I walk around, and I'm like, why is there nobody here? Like, I mean, there's a few people in the lobby, but there's no assemblage of anything. And I run into to Bert, and I'm like, what's where's is there trading? What's going on? Oh, there's nothing today. There's not a single thing going on Thursday. Nothing. No trading room. No nothing. And so I ended up sitting in the bar, and I didn't drink anything because I was afraid, having been up all morning, that would be a bad choice. So I stuck with water. Had a great dinner that evening with my friend Hans. David, I guess now I can out him. Richard and Barbara Binder, Martin Ferguson. Who else was there? Who else did we have? I completely blanking my memory here. Mike and Linda Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy's. Yeah. I was like, I knew there was somewhere between me and Richard. So we had an okay dinner. It was, nothing to write home about. It was good company, and that's really all that matters. I guess I expected a little bit more, but it's hard to say. You travel, you get tired. You find a different spot. Yeah. I mean, well, that's a great. Hey, Dustin. I got your order out today. I had to get creative with the packaging, but I found like maybe the perfect package for that. I saw your order come through, and I didn't even see your order come through until I got in the shop this morning. And I started looking at it, I'm like, it's a 3-pager. The barbecue place did make up for it. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. That place, that is a must. We're going there next year. Early, so we don't run into we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, that was Thursday. Thursday was pretty. And then after dinner, David and I did some horse trading that we've been planning for months. And David and I have, I don't know how he does it, but I literally have a pile for David pretty much. Any given day of the year, there's a pile of stuff for him, so that the next time I see him or the next shipment, it goes together. So I've been setting this up for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and we did a little horse trading, a little beer drinking, and the funny thing is, so at the end of the day, we traded some things, and David got some money. And I didn't bring. Yeah, you plied me with beer first. Was the key to the deal, because what happened is I had acquired some Japanese pens, and I left one of them on his bed. And I also got a trumpet for a Schaefer desk set that I need. And it didn't fit and I figured out later why it didn't fit, but it didn't fit in my pen case. It didn't fit because I was putting it exactly opposite from my number 6 size Edison fountain pen. And nothing fits in that slot opposite that. If I'd have moved it, it would have fit. The next morning I realized, as I was transferring pens, usually what I do is I take a binder. I bring a binder or 3. And then as I buy things, instead of leaving them in my pocket, I usually have a small case of like show and tell stuff. And as I buy things, I might go up to the room, or later on that evening, I transfer them to their final resting place in the binder, so that I can keep them organized. And they're not for show and tell. They'll be, they're for days like today. And I look, and I'm missing the best platinum that I bought. And I'm missing the trumpet for the desk set. And sure enough, I left the pen on the bed. And for the life of me, I don't know what happened to the trumpet. Now, I have this backpack that has... Mike Madison would be proud, and I saw Mike there. I should have told him this story. He would laugh. He'd be proud. I have a backpack that has a million little small deep pockets in everywhere, and I think I put it somewhere in the backpack, but I haven't. You searched the room before you checked out? Yeah, it's in my backpack. I'm certain of it. I just don't know where. But there's all these little pockets for things, and it's cool. I love it. But I always forget which, because there's I think there's like 4 separate zippered sections to this thing. I don't know where that thing went. It's maybe in there somewhere, and after I got home last night, I literally 30 minutes ago was the first time I opened up that backpack. So I don't know where that is. I mean, it's got to be somewhere, but it's not. We did recover the platinum. That was good. So good horse trading Thursday night. So at least it wasn't complete total loss. Next year, I'm not coming in on Thursday. I'm coming on Friday. Friday morning started at 8 o'clock. But it's all set up, right? So 8's kind of, questionable whether or not you really need to be there. Okay trading day on Friday. And I think it was the busiest day of the show. I mean, I don't know how Sunday afternoon was. But Friday was quite busy, and from the vendors I spoke with, everybody was happy with how they did on Friday. The ones I spoke with anyway. It was dead on Sunday? Yeah. Not surprising. So, I can't think of anything outstanding to talk about at the show on Friday. Mike Madison did a really great walkthrough. It's 2 hours long. I didn't watch the whole thing. But he literally goes up to every table, so you can kind of get an idea. And it's not that big of a show. Podcast. Oh, Friday. Yes. Yeah, so Friday we broke up the day, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And there were surprises on both sides of the table there. So David and I went up to his room, had a beer in the middle of the afternoon, and and watched Lisa and my daughter Lindsay do the podcast live on this. The hotel, I don't know how big those things. They were ridiculous. Were they 65-inch, 70-inch screens in the hotel rooms? They were insanely large, and so we watched the podcast live. 70 is it was huge. I couldn't believe it. It barely fit in my carry-on luggage when I left. So we watched the podcast. And I had set aside a desk set for my daughter to surprise Lisa with on the podcast. That was good. And then later on, I discovered it, and I actually watched it today at lunch. Lisa had a little surprise for me. She changed glasses constantly throughout the podcast. I didn't even notice. I think she had 4 different pairs, I think. 3 or 4, at least 3 different pairs of glasses, and she kept changing them. As my daughter was going to the overhead, she would go change her glasses. And I completely did not notice it. David, I don't think you noticed it either. It was, she was having seriously. She had a blue pair. She had a really, really nice tortoise pair, which goes really great with her hair. I really hope she buys them. They're quite nice. And her normal pair, which is kind of a darker color. Hey Gary, how you doing? She changed her glasses like quite often, throughout the podcast. In fact, at one point I noticed she had gone kind of off the screen. She was trying to do it as Lindsay was showing pens. And then she would just lean over and grab another pair. And in fact, in one pair of glasses, in the glasses that she was picking, she works for an optometrist. Still, they're samples, and so they actually have like writing on the glass. There's like a sticker on the glass or something, and you can see it on one of the scenes. You can like, what is that? It looks like there's something on her chin. But no, yeah. So you got to watch it over. You got to watch it again. My vote's for the kind of amberish colored frames that she had on. She's thinking about getting another pair. So, benefit of working for an optometrist, you can just go and grab a bunch of frames. Yeah. So that was the excitement. What else, David? That was kind of it for Friday. We'll get into the pens in a bit. David and I did go. We had, we had a great dinner on Friday. We found this, McFenthusiast. Hello, how you doing? Welcome. We had this great. I don't know how you found it, David, but it was a fantastic barbecue place in the middle of nowhere, and it's one of these joints where you're going down this road. Now, of course, it was dark, so I couldn't tell, but I think there were big trees on one side. It was kind of a narrow 2-lane road, and all you could see as you approach the place is these cars kind of, tilted off the, half off the road. And you know it's going to be good. It was the side of a hill, yeah. And we walk in, it was nothing fancy, but it was packed. And there were people coming out, people coming in. It was a little loud. But not too bad. You can still hear each other. They had this great barbecue platter that had, what did it have? Ribs, wings, brisket, and something else. And it was all sorts of stuff. I think the winner was the, Jason, hello. The winner was what was it? Was it habanero sweet sauce or something? But they really shouldn't have put habanero in there because it really wasn't that hot. It was a very flavorful sauce. They had 4 different sauces on the table. They had homemade cornbread that was just ridiculous with honey butter, which I love, and you can't find honey butter. The ribs were awesome. There was not a, and then after all that, and then of course you've got macaroni and cheese, you've got mashed potatoes. What did you have, Dave? Did you have collard greens too? I think. The sides were great. And we're like, we shouldn't have dessert. I'm done. And then we look at the menu and it's like chocolate cake, like a big piece of chocolate, followed by chocolate, followed by chocolate, followed by chocolate. Give you that cornbread with honey butter. It was amazing. It was really, really good. Really, really good. So we had the chocolate cake, and then promptly at 9, it was, I don't know if it was karaoke or what it was. Yeah, everything was house made. Sauce to dessert. It was, and the beer was great. What was it? Loose Island, Little Island? I don't even remember. Yeah. And at 9 o'clock promptly, Lady Gaga came on at 125 decibels. Promptly at 9. Like 8 feet away from us. And I mean, I'm all for a little Lady Gaga once in a while, but I could no longer hear David, who was 2 feet from me. So we looked at each other, grabbed our coats, and we left. And so that was really good. So don't go. Make sure you're out by 9 if you're going to go to this place. Let's see if I can find the name of it. Where is it? Here it is. I've got it right here. The Hideaway in Odenton. It's a really great place. Really fun. Go early. Get a parking spot if you can, and just do yourself a favor and just get the sampler. It's really, really great. All right. So yeah, that was Friday. I don't think there was anything else. That was kind of it. 9. I don't know if I went to bed early. I probably went to bed early that night. And so Saturday, you went to a Cuban place. I'd say it was equally good. Okay. I'm not against Cuban food. I mean, maybe we replace that next year with that place we went to on Thursday night. I don't know. But we got to go to the Hideaway again. That's on the list. Saturday was fun. It was not as busy at the show on Saturday as it was on Friday. It just was not. In fact, at one point I sat down with my good friend Hugh, who runs, along with his wife Carol, owns Connolly Pen. They make some really beautiful pens. I mean, they are next level beautiful. They're just really lovely. Thematic, Hawaiian themed pens. No, he's not from Hawaii, but he travels there vacation every couple of years. Really good conversation with him about everything from lathes to business to, all sorts of stuff. But I was at his table for maybe 45 minutes. There wasn't a single person that stopped by to talk to him about a pen. Because, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get up. If someone comes to the table, I'm up. But if not, we're just going to keep chatting. And we just talked for about 45 minutes. But we had a little adventure on Saturday. And I don't want to spoil the fun. In fact, I don't even have the pen here to show you. So we'll talk about it on the pod. But stay tuned for Friday's podcast. We'll tell you about this insane adventure involving one of I'll call it a very rare Esterbrook. It was so much fun. We needed a beer at 12:30 p.m. at 12:30 right after. We spent about an hour and a half, and it was nothing but laser focus. I couldn't have told there could have been a herd of cattle on the floor of the trading room, and I wouldn't have noticed because we were very focused on what was going on with this pen and trying to buy this pen, because this was not your average. It was not your average transaction. It was not your average pen, and to make matters worse, or more interesting, I guess is probably the better way to put it. David and I both wanted the pen, or portions of the pen. And we were happy to split it. And we were not the first people in line to get the pen. So I kind of, without telling the whole story, because it's fun. The person who owned the pen went up to Gary Weimer first, who's an Esterbrook collector. Gary said he was interested in it. He was going to make an offer. Earlier, though, in the weekend, Gary had said, well, I'm selling off my Esterbrook prototypes. And so I'm standing there, and Gary's making this offer, and I said to him, but Gary, didn't you just tell me you're selling off all your Esterbrook prototypes? And he says, yeah. I said, do you really need this pen? I mean, because his prototypes, without question, they're another level of rare above this pen that we saw. Now, this pen is, I mean, prototypes are always kind of that next level rare anyway, because there's one, This is a pretty significant piece in and of itself, but I wouldn't call it in that same category. Yeah, David was next in line after Gary, so yeah, and again, I talked to Gary out of buying it, and I kind of felt bad, and I actually apologized to him later. I said, well, I'm sorry, I didn't really mean to, but he was cool with it. Because I said, you know what, didn't you just tell me you're getting rid of stuff? He goes, yeah, that's right. And I've got 2 mortgages. What am I doing this for? I'm out. And he turned around and walked away. So he walks away. And so now I knew this was going to happen. So I don't want to tell the whole story. Because we'll tell it on the podcast. We'll leave a little trinket for you too. But it's a cool pen. You won't find another one anytime soon. The nib is especially cool. And so David and I decided he's going to keep the nib and I'm going to keep the rest of the pen. And both of us are giddy like schoolboys. Exceptionally happy. And I had actually come across a very rare Esterbrook earlier in the day too, which I don't have in front of me, but maybe I'll show those later on in the week. But I didn't think I was going to get 2. Actually, I got 3 really cool Esterbrooks this week. So anyway, that was Saturday. Had dinner downtown Saturday, but it was near the stadium where there was soccer or football for you folks. Yes, there was a seminar. That's correct. That's right. It's so hard, your memory stores these things in out of order. The David Nishimura, Jonathan Villi seminar on Victorian pencils was, I think, really fascinating. My only regret was that we had scheduled dinner at 6:00 and my friends had said, we'll meet you in the lobby at 5:30. Well, the seminar started at 4:30 and it was an hour long. And then at 5:30, when the seminar was done, they were going to show off some examples. If you had pencils to talk about or that needed help or whatever, you could show up to them and they would take a look at them. And I brought 3 pencils that needed help that I wanted them to look at. And I had to skedaddle up and out of there. You had to depart right after 2. Next time you need an hour after to see everything. Well, what I'm hoping is, both of those guys will be in Chicago. Maybe they'll do it in Chicago. In which case, I would go and see it again because I know they said they were going to tweak it. And so I took several pages of notes with an Aiken Lambert's slider combo that we've had on the stream here before, that I bought from David. But I took 3 or 4 pages of notes in my pocket journal. It's very fascinating. I highly recommend it if you're interested. And you shouldn't be, if you see it at a pen show near you, you shouldn't be concerned it's just pencils, because actually half of it was discussing vintage dip pen nibs and holders. In Victorian era, like David said right away, we're not necessarily specifically talking about Victorian era, but we're talking about Victorian, I guess, style. Dip pens, fancy holders, sterling gold, mother of pearl, abalone, other materials. And with with a nice slide presentation so you could see. Highly recommended. It's not your average seminar. And it was nice to sit down and turn your brain off of looking and negotiating and all that stuff. But dinner was at a place called Sobo, I think. I think it was called Sobo. Downtown. There's a soccer match or football for you. The correct term for you, people across the pond. Big match. Lots of traffic. Hard to get there. We ended up parking 3 blocks away. Of course, since they picked me up right after the seminar, I didn't get a chance to go up to the room to grab my sweater or coat or anything, so I'm freezing my butt off trying to get to dinner. Dinner was okay. I would say it was okay. Nothing. I don't know that I would do it again. I think it was more fluff than substance. I don't know. It was all right. Good company. It was a big group. My friend Steph, and her wife, and Shubins, if you know the Shubins. Rick Propus, and Danny, who has taken over his business, and Janet, their assistant, who's a real good friend of ours. And Bill Hong, who I stupidly bought like 5 pens from and didn't realize it was Bill at the show, because, sometimes your head is down at the table and you're like, okay, you and I bought pens, and afterward, and then when I got to the restaurant, I said, hey, Bill, what time did you get to the show today? Did you have a good show? He's like, you bought pens for me. Like, oh. So those kinds of things happen. Because I do have a beef. I thought the badges at the show were terrible. Because the badge had, it's your standard name badge, but it's got VIP in big letters. It's got a big QR code that I don't know what it goes towards. It's not a functional QR code to maybe it does something for them, but it doesn't do anything for us. And your name is in little tiny font above all this other font, Baltimore, Washington, International Pen Show 2026, all this other stuff. So it was really hard to see anybody's name on any name badge if it was flipped the right way. Yeah, you couldn't read anything. You attach a different name tag to the badge. Yeah, I really need to just bring a sticker and just plomp it on there. Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't see. No Yardelid. Yeah, sorry to be a tease. I know you'll be in on the podcast on Friday. It's a cool story. I think it's cool. It's kind of one of those, the pen got away and then the pen came back kind of thing. I never expected to see it again. No, it was a QR code. Because you can scan it. I scanned it with my phone, but it just doesn't go to anything that's useful. Yeah, it was really dumb. Really dumb. My only complaint, nice little goodie bag. There's a little Leuchtturm notebook in it. And so, I suppose enough for me. Oh, and then I'll tell you. So I get in from dinner, and my flight out is on Sunday morning. You should have replaced the QR code of the badge with links to your website. Yeah. That's a great idea. I should just make my own name badge, period, and then I'll just slide it in to every show that I go to. It's a great idea. But it was also, there was so much stuff on the badge. I always encourage people, if you're going to a show and you've got if your moniker is whatever, Pen Dude 2874, put it on your badge so people can say, oh yeah, we're in the Anderson chat, whatever. But there's no room for any of that stuff. So after dinner, since my flight out is at 5:15 a.m. on Sunday, and I was half thinking I'm just going to stay up because I have to really literally be, I got to be at the airport at 4-ish. It's a little bigger airport, so I kind of want to be there earlier. 10-minute drive over there. Got to, I got to hit the shuttle is every 20 minutes. So it's at on the hour, 20 after, and 20 till the hour. So you got to hit the shuttle at the right time. You can't miss it. So I'm thinking I might just stay up. So I give David a call, say, hey, I'm back from dinner. Do you want to have a beer? And we go and it's a yes. So we get together. We have a beer, actually a couple. And at 9:56 p.m., I get a text message from Delta that says, my 5:15 flight has been delayed 105 minutes. So almost 2 hours it's been delayed. So when I check, that means I for sure, it goes well beyond my connecting flight. I didn't have a lot of time, but I had a reasonable amount of time. Well beyond when I would absolutely miss my connecting flight. So I had to reschedule. So my options in hindsight is funny. My two options were leave at 8 and get home at 3:35, or leave at 11:30 and get home at 3:35. So it just meant that one had a longer delay in between flights. I said, you know what? There's no sense in, there's plenty of time. If I leave at 11:30, I've got an hour. I've got a little over an hour in Minneapolis to make my connecting flight to get home to Appleton. And that way I can get up in the morning, I can have breakfast, I can get some food in me, which I hadn't planned on doing anyway, that's a better deal. And I can make a couple last minute stops. And I needed to have a meeting with somebody, and I couldn't find him on Saturday. So I'm like, that's going to work great. 11:30, rebooked the flight, had another beer, went to bed, got some sleep. I think it was probably close to midnight by the time we finished up. Get to the airport, just fine. And then all of a sudden my phone starts dinging off. Well, we're sorry, your flight's been delayed. Okay, it's delayed 20 minutes. No problem. Another 10 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, your flight's been delayed another 20 minutes. Now it's leaving at noon. Now it's leaving at 12:15. Now it's leaving at 12:30. Now it's leaving at 12:40. So now I'm getting a little nervous because that layover window is shrinking substantially. And almost all Delta flights were delayed yesterday. And my plane wasn't even at the gate. There was another flight to LaGuardia at my gate, and they couldn't get it out. So if they'd have gotten it out, they could have got my plane in. We could have left a reasonably amount of time. Everything would have been cool. Well, that didn't happen. And we got on late. It was a full flight. We did arrive 3 minutes early. I had exactly 17 minutes to get from gate C5 to gate B16, except they couldn't pull up to the gate right away because I forget what was going on. And so that killed another 5 minutes. Thankfully, the flight attendants said, hey, listen, there's 10 people that have a really, really, really tight window. If you've got 40 minutes or more, you don't miss flying at all. I never have bad luck. I almost never have bad luck. This was the worst luck ever. So they said, if you've got 40 minutes or more layover, please allow these 10 people. And then she said, okay, we've got 1 to Appleton. We've got, 4 to San Francisco. We got 4 to, whatever, Poughkeepsie. I don't know. Please let them get off first. Pull in. Finally, the door opens and everybody, gets up and does their thing. And it kind of honked me off. There are a couple people in first class that, like, we're taking their sweet time. Like, come on. But then, I don't know, they sat down or whatever, but the little cheering section going on. Come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. And C5 to B16 at Minneapolis, people, I'm telling you, is a long way. It's a long way because it goes, you have to go up. So you go to C5 through C27, and then the B concourse is actually downstairs. So you got to go down. I feel terrible because I totally tackled some woman on the walkway. I said, coming through, I'm late. And she went. She wasn't. She was standing. I guess in my defense, she was standing. There's the left side is walk, and then the right side is stand, and they're actually marked on the moving escalator, moving walkway. And she was standing in the walk thing, and so I like screw this, man. I went around one woman behind her, and then I took it to the right, and she moved to the right, and I ran into her, and yeah, in case A and B are fun. Yeah, this was just as bad. And you look on the map, it doesn't look too bad. How bad can it be, I should have recorded, for those of you who are on Strava, if you ever have to do that, make sure to hit your Strava before you run and do that. I hit a maximum heart rate of 170 beats per minute trying to get to my gate. It was impossible. I got to my gate. My flight was leaving at 2:30. I'm hoping, every Delta flight's delayed. I'm hoping. I get to my gate at 2:31. It's gone. It's not at the gate. It's not pulling out. It left at 2:25. It left early. So I go over to the next gate, which, of course, is delayed. So the woman's like, well, I've got time. I can help you out. I said, well, what am I supposed to do now? Because I knew that there was a 7 o'clock, 7:54 flight, but it was sold out. They had automatically booked me on a 10:10 flight today. But I don't want to, I don't want to stay in Minneapolis. What am I going to do? They said, well, is Delta going to pay for my hotel? Well, no. What do you mean, no? You're the reason I'm late. So I said, well, you got to go over to gate C15 and ask them and see, and see if they'll help you out. I go to C15. What am I supposed to do? Can you provide me with a hotel? No. We're not gonna do that. Like, he might as well have just said, we're not doing jack shit. Tough luck, dude. Suck it up. He didn't. It wasn't too far from that. So he says, well, the next flight's out at 7:54. Go there an hour early at the gate and sit on standby. It's 2:30. I'm going to be sitting in the airport for 5 hours. And I'm like, well, there's literally no other flights. There's a flight to Green Bay, which is a half hour away, but that's at 8:54. So, I might as well try the Appleton one. And the Green Bay flight sold out too. So grabbed a burger. Excuse me. Grabbed a burger. It was real good. Got bacon on it. And had some Diet Mountain Dew. I tried to get into the Delta lounge. I said, well, you know what? Maybe they'll make some accommodations. Like, listen, Delta screwed me over. Can I buy a day pass? Well, guess what? They don't sell day pass. And the way they spoke to me, like I had horns growing out of my head, and I was not worthy. Like, no, you're not a club member. You're not allowed here. Like, whoa, la-ti-da, sorry for asking. So that was, because if you can get in the club, I mean, I would pay whatever you got to pay to get in for a day. They often have food. They have soup and, snacks and things like that. Getting bumped and standby. Yeah, so fine, whatever. It was worth a try. I was better dressed than probably 80% of the folks in that club. Probably, or just as well. I polished my shoes before I left, so they look good. I ended up spending most of my time editing pictures for a new brand that's coming on in a couple of months. So I guess that worked out. And then there was some drama getting on standby. So here's a top tip for you. And I don't know if this applies to other, maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know what technology other airlines use, but I went an hour early, walked all the way back down to the B concourse. It wasn't quite as far. It was B10. To the gate that was the 7:54 flight. And they're trying to put me on standby. Well, the interesting thing is if you have your app open while they're trying to put you on standby, they can't do what they need to do. That's got to be closed. You close it, and not just off. You got to swipe it off. Because they were trying to get me on whatever screen they needed to get me on, and thankfully about 14 people didn't show up. Well, they had to call over what they call red coats. I thought that was hilarious. They have Delta red coats, and I guess these are people who are, I don't know if they're senior people. They have more experience. They're clearly more experienced. They brought one over. She couldn't get it to work. She had to go back to her gate. We did it again, tried it. It wasn't working. Then I had to go over to another gate where there were two red coats. And then that's when he said, well, do you have your app open? Their managers and supervisors. Okay. Yeah. That's what I gathered. I thought it was hilarious. They called them red coats. Like, okay. Because they wear a red coat and a red vest. He's like, oh, you got the app? Because I said, I see it's popping up on my Delta app and it's asking me to check in, but it won't let me finish. He says, oh, you got to close that out. That's why I can't get anything to work. And then sure, 2 minutes later, he prints me out a standby ticket. Go back down to my gate. Says, well, you got to wait until everybody else boards. And then red coat comes over and she says, and if you guys fly, this is, this is boring for you. I'm sorry. But she says, well, you can't let them on. You got to wait to make sure that everybody gets on. And then if there are seats, then you can let these people on. And there were 2 people ahead of me on standby. Funnily enough, one of the guys, he was a cool guy. I was talking with him. He's like, well, I left this morning from Ireland. He says, so I'm barely hanging on. And I said, you know what? And so they were talking, well, I'll take the jump seat. I said, you know what? I'll take the toilet seat. I don't care. I want to go home tonight. And so this woman is like all worried. She's like, well, I don't know why there's so many people gone. I'm like, I don't care. That's great. It's great news for all 3 of us that are sitting here. And she says, well, you got to wait until 7:44, 10 minutes before. Well, they closed the gate 15 minutes before departure. I mean, shit, my plane left early. My connecting flight left early, so I don't, so fine. We'll wait till 7:44. 7:44 comes, and then, you get nervous because, like, well, what happens if everybody gets off their plane and they get there, and now we got to do this all over. So finally, they say, okay, there's plenty of room. You'll get on. But then we sat on the plane for a half an hour because all of a sudden there's 2 more people come on. There's 2 more people come on. So I was nervous. You drove home from MSP once? Yeah, it was 5 hours. I mean, and the thing is we had talked about it. Like, well, Lisa could drive there because I had to wait 5 hours for this stupid flight. Lisa could be there and then we could come home, or I could get lucky and I'd be home. We were already scouting out hotels. Yeah, that's correct. They held the late flight for late connections, but my flight, Lisa said she was watching it. It left 5 minutes early. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I look at my Apple Watch. I'm hauling ass. My legs still hurt today. They still hurt today. Like everything from the waist down. If my life depended on it and there was a fire, I might not be able to make it out of the building. I could not run that fast. Why don't we rental cars? Well, and they didn't, and sometimes they have those little golf carts or whatever. If you need to get to another gate in a hurry, not a single one between C5 and B16. Not a single one that I saw. But I mean, I was like, it must have looked hilarious. I don't know. So yeah, we did. Once they closed the door and they backed the plane out of the gate, I was like, okay, I'm going home tonight. I closed my eyes, put my AirPods in, fell asleep. That was that. So we got home. And of course, that flight was late. So I got in. By the time I got home, it was 10 o'clock my time. So, but here we are. You want to talk about pens, I suppose. So that's, and then I had to get up this morning. Didn't really have dinner, So my mind is not completely with it. So if we repair pens, we repair pens. You've had those a ton at Cincinnati. You have many connecting through there. Yeah. So it was an experience. What I'm going to chalk it down as is that's those are my bad luck flying, and then so I'm really good for a while. So we're talking about going to Washington D.C. for the D.C. show. Well, me, not Lisa. In the fall. So I've used up my bad luck capital on the plane. So let's take a look at some of the pens that I got. These are not all of them. There will be more that I may show throughout the week, but these are all of these will eventually be for sale. Not almost all of them. Many of them need to be restored first, of course, which is what you're going to be seeing on the stream here for the next few months. But some of them just need a cleaning and once over, and they'll be ready to go. If there's anything that you are interested in, you know how this works. Email me. Right there. hello@cardinalpens.com. And your reward as daily listeners to this nonsense is first dibs on any of these pens. All right? Let's take a look. I'll try to get it on the screen here. The first batch of pens I bought on Saturday after having had a conversation with Lisa on the phone about how we weren't going to buy Metropolitans. And then I bought 5. Russell, you've got 2 shaver desk sets. How many desk? You're like going to have more desk sets than me. 4-piece white marble set and the other teardrop shaving green. Wow. There's an Esterbrook you could stand to own from my haul. I only bought 3. I mean, you're getting half of one. So I got some very, very clean Metropolitans. I've always loved this turquoise one. I think it's great. It's my favorite color. It's fun. We got some nice balances. Real pretty jade. Decent color. A little discoloration on the cap, but it's not too bad. Carmine. Nice visualated section. 2-tone nib. I love these 2-tone nibs. It's got a little engraving on it, but a lot of these pens do have it. This is a nice oversize. I like this one. It's got that long clip that comes down to the cap band. Decent looker. I love these. And seems like it's a little bit longer. I mean, these come in, like, they seem like they come in different sizes. They're different lengths. And this one's a little bit longer than most. I mean, you can see in the tray, it's bumping up to here. This was really cool. I couldn't pass it up. Conklin, I believe this is a version of the student pen. They had them in solid colors, but then they also had them in this kind of this green. So we'll consult the Conklin book, but nice green, lever filler, beautiful color. Well, now David got an Esterbrook. You bought an Esterbrook. I coerced David into buying an Esterbrook. In fact, literally what I did is I picked it up and I said, "You need to buy this," and I handed it to him. I forced him. I did. Indy, good afternoon. If you didn't do it, I was going to do it, but I didn't. I really don't need to buy any more stock in Esterbrook's right now. Very little. It is really pretty. It's a much harder to find variation of that copper color, what some people call root beer, which I don't agree with, but it was a good one, because oftentimes that particular color, and I don't know why it is, I don't know if it's that variation, if the coloring in that does something to the plastic, but they're often quite beat up, and this one was very, very nice. If you're going to have one Esterbrook J, and it was a full-size J, that's kind of the one to have. It's really, really good. What do we got here? We got a Swan, the metal thread version, kind of a little bit color variance between the cap and the barrel. Kind of a semi-flex nib. You saw Jonathan do that at Ohio. It's been a long time talking with him. Pencils are fascinating. Yeah, this is the first time they've done it. So they plan to do it often, that seminar. So this is an English Swan. Beautiful imprint on this one. So yeah, that's going to make someone happy. I've always had a preference for these kind of black and gray marbled balances. Visualated section, two-tone nibs. I like these a lot. I don't know, I have a thing for these, you know. Did I get any new pens? I got some Metropolitans. Does that count? Maybe. Yeah, sort of. Pseudo. It does count. Yeah. This one's modern-ish. Heavy on the ish. So anyway, we got this. This reminds me of, like, I like ironically, I've always liked the Pelican Chicago, which is this kind of black and gray marbling. I probably don't need it now, but I don't like to buy Skylines. I kind of make it a pact not to do it. You know, the reason I usually have Skylines is because I bought a collection and then there's Skylines in it, but I always check the tightness of the clip and the cap. But this one's got the nice striped cap with this wide band that'll clean up nicely. It looks good. And I did learn an interesting technique. Instead of using your fingernail, which we all use to test the flexibility, I was talking with Scott Jones, and he says he uses the skin. So he runs it on his finger like this to give you a better idea of if the nib is flexible or not. So that one doesn't seem to be very flexible, but it's very clean. And who's not to like a wide cap band with a stripe cap? I think that's pretty good. Here's a modern pen for you, Andy. It's not new. This is an older 3776 in the old burgundy color. There was some debate over what color this was, but I didn't have the time. I've got a President that's the same color. I think this is the burgundy. But what really drew me to it, it's got the C nib or the Kosu, which I think has been subsequently ground maybe to an italic. It kind of looks like Richard Binder's work, but I can't be for certain. So, nice pen, real nice pen. So, you know, like the modern pens and the cartridge converter pens and stuff like that, they're going to clean up first. Those will be the first to make it their way to the website. So, but yeah, the Kosu nib, which is really broad, is broader than the double broad. We got a nice blue diamond. Actually, not a blue diamond. Dual fold button filler. Stripe dual fold. Go like that. The first of two. I can't believe I'm saying this. I bought 2 double jewel 51 vacs at the show. So it's got like an amber colored jewel on the bottom. Cordovan. I am unscrewing the filling unit. Well, that's a good sign anyway, huh? Won't need heat on that. You escaped the antique shops with only the one Parker. You didn't need another Black J. The gold 45 was tempting with Deep Steve. Yeah. Everyone survived the spring forward Sunday. You know, I don't think it's as bad now as it used to be, right? Because our phones take care of all this stuff. I will admit though, when I woke up on Sunday morning, I looked out. my window view in the hotel room just overlooked a parking lot. So I kind of left it wide open. So as the sun would come up, I would wake up most days. But then, because I was getting up at 6:45-ish so I could get to breakfast, to get a shower and get to breakfast. And it was dark at 6:45, It's not bad unless you stay up until 2 a.m. that night at the Penn Show, which I'm guessing you did. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't a problem for me. I did pick up a couple of a little bit of what's on this clip from the tag. I didn't get a chance to, literally, after I hit start streaming, I went and pulled these out of my binder and was taking the tags off of them. A couple of older 1911 standards with the old style nib. I've got a broad. Yeah, I got to adjust my car and whatever. A broad, and I think I've got an extra fine. Oh, a fine. Broad and a fine in this same black single cap band kind of standard. So that's kind of nice. One of the oddly, one of the stars of the show is this kind of insignificant little pen right here. I'm not even going to ask you to guess because nobody's going to get it right. I wouldn't have thought in a million years I would have bought this. And the only reason I bought it was because the seller, who was Barry Gabay, a good friend of mine, who's a 149 and King of Pen collector, he showed it to me because we were kind of waiting around, which I'll explain on Friday, at his table. And he decided to show this to me. But this is an early Faber-Castell, and I think it's called Progress, which is a weird model name for a pen. But you can see it's got the marks filled here on the barrel. A 55G, I guess probably the model number. It's got this ink window. This one we want to zoom in on. It's 14 karat oblique double broad nib. Fully marked on the butt end of the barrel. And if that wasn't cool enough, it's a piston filler. You can see the piston head move. So it's a weird little pen. It's a piston filler, friction fit cap, oblique double broad, 14 karat gold nib. All right, this really needs no explanation. It is what it. The box is a combination of, it was sort of squished, and then I put it in my bag and sort of forgot about it, and it got a little squished more, and then I later put it in my binder, and I think that maybe helped it be its final state here. It was not in good condition to begin with, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But we got ourselves a Sailor Shalana. If you're not familiar with these, this is literally the world's thinnest fountain pen. This one's in a lovely, kind of a brown tortoise. 14 karat, number 0 nib, I think is what they call it. Oh, it's a number 1. They call it number 1. It's, it comes with some cartridges. I don't know how good they are. At least we can, they can be refilled. There's actually 3 of them here. There's a 2-pack plus a separate one. But you don't see them too often, and it's not at shows for sure. But this is an older model. So if somebody wants something that's a little bit different, there we have it. This one I think is going to sell like immediately. The minute I put it up, if it doesn't even sell today. All right, next tray. Now we're getting some interesting stuff, including some incredibly bad decisions in here. Some like, I don't know why. Kind of a neat pilot. Little engraving on it. Was this a 14? Yeah, it's a 14 karat nib on this one. Oh, and it's got the double. Oh, so this is the early. I didn't even. This is the first I actually opened this pen up. The early short cartridge, so you have to refill the cartridges. Current modern ones don't fit. I'm going to make you want more pens. Well, these are available. You can email me. Real nice. We've had a couple of these. In fact, I didn't really see very many of these at the show, so I was happy to get this one. Another Schaefer stylist with the duo. What do they call it? A duo way nib or two-way nib or something like that. But in brushed gold this time. And aerometric converter. So, I mean, what a very clean, nice pen. This is kind of an oddball. What is this? Like a Parker 20? Is this a 25? I can't remember. I have to look it up. Rollerball in this kind of cool bark pattern. English dual fold. Yeah, English dual fold. You need to resist. Yeah. This is, what do we got? And this is English dual fold, but it's got this later VS kind of button filler action going on here. So this is very, in kind of a neat, I guess I'm weird. I like brown pens. I like dark brown pens. And this is kind of a neat dark brown. Nice imprint. Really classy clip. That's going to be a fun one. What is this one? This one is another Parker rollerball. This is what do they call this? The lady something. It's clipless. It's something. It's, the price was right. This is the pen that I lost. I almost lost it twice. Believe it or not. Yeah. Nice little platinum. Pink section. Very clean. Yeah, real nice. Probably a fine nib. Usually these are all dinged up, dented up, scratched up. Number 2 of actually this was the first double jewel 51 that I bought. In Cordovan. It's got one of the honey colored jewels on the cap, and then it's got more of an orangish action going on the barrel end. But this has got kind of, this one looks like it has maybe a medium-ish, close to a medium nib. It's not, an extra fine or a fine. Yeah, these are all going to be for sale. All for sale. If that's something you're interested in, Indy, just shoot me an email at hello@cardinalpens.com. You can have first crack at it. Coco. I love Coco. Actually, I don't recall seeing very many Coco 51s at the show. This is a demi, but with a nice two-tone nib and a lustrelike cap. Excuse me. You really shouldn't. Well, it won't be the last one. Do what's right for you. If you're interested, shoot me an email. Nice cap. Is there a little mark on it? It's a little bit of wear, but it's really straight. There's no dings, no dents. A little more unusual in that two-tone cap. That's cool. 45 Aero in gray. That's cool, huh? I like the Aero look. It's cool with this plastic cap. I found only one of these at the show, CA101, orange, which is really the best color, I think. I mean, other than burgundy and dark blue. And oh, hang on. Hello, Brian. Okay, nice. Sorry, delivery. And boy, did that hurt to move. So another CA101. Most of I think all the other CA101s that I had platinum converters in, have recently sold. So This one's got the original sticker on it. So was very, very happy to get this. I was hoping to find more, but you know, it is what it is. The next two were the first two pens I bought at the show, and I honestly don't know why I bought them. I really don't know why I bought them. And then later on, I found out one of them had a crack. I bought two Jinhaos. I don't know why. What is this? This one's got an extra fine nib. I wasn't so crazy about this, but I thought this was the coolest. Like, Sailor ought to make a pen this color. It's really nice. Again, it's kind of a, I guess that's black. It looks kind of dark brown with this kind of light tan. Fine nib. They're cheap and fun. Yeah, I guess it's got to convert. I didn't even look. I didn't even open them up. But I found that on this one, I think there's a crack in the cap. Which is too bad. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just give them away. Your eyes do not deceive you. 4 Volexes. Volex? Yeah, Volex. With the exact same nib, with the exact same nib code, all mint stickered. Oh. Ready to go. The price was right, and I just decided to buy them all. I don't usually buy these, but the price was right. A nice Eversharp Symphony. It's got some initials engraved on it, but I love it when they have initials engraved like this. GWH. Love that font. The nice thing about these pens is these are real sleepers. So if you're into vintage pens, or you're starting into vintage pens and you're looking, these pens are often priced very, very low. They're not priced to market, but they have 14 karat gold nibs, and they're basically the same nibs that they use on Skylines. So you can run into one with a flexible nib. This one is not. But they just don't sell for as much. And it's got a beautiful two-tone cap. Or the price tag, apparently. There we go. And it's a nice navy blue color, and it's a decent length pen. This is nice. Striped Pilot. Do I ever see or hear about birdie pocket pens these days? I'm not exactly sure what a birdie pocket pen is. I don't think I know what it is. This beautiful nib. Medium. I have one of these. I don't think it's quite as nice as this, so I need to check and see which one is nicer. Actually, I think the one I have is an extra fine nib. Birdie was a thin Pilot pen. Oh, okay. Thank you. Not a long, short, a thin. Oh, I think I know which one that is. Yeah. The answer is no. I don't. I'm not looking for them either. So beautiful nib. I might trade up and keep this one and sell my other one. We'll see. Custom 74. Sticker. Broad nib. I mean, it's black. It's nothing exciting, but as I said, the price was right. If you want to use 74 with the broad nib, their broad nibs are great. Or it's a platform for you to get, if you want to have a specialty nib ground or something, this would be a great option for you. And then this last one was kind of sold as a set, but it's not really a set. So I'm going to sell them separately. Oversized flat top Schaefer. I don't know if this section is probably not original. Is it? Lifetime nib, visualated section. And then it has on the cap, it's got a Knights of Columbus emblem on the top. But it's a big, big pen. I mean, it's super long if you post it. The pencils, I think the pencil's the right size, but it's got the flat clip. It doesn't have anything on the cap. But it's a nice pen. I didn't even see if it works. Does it work? It does work. There's no lead in it, but it does seem to work. And it's got somebody's name on it, which this one doesn't. So yeah, we're going to sell these separately. But it's nice. It's a nice, big, chunky pencil. Mechanism seems to go well. So that's basically it. There's a few more pens. But this is the lion's share of what I brought home. How many is that? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So that's 40 pens plus. There's probably going to be at least one. There's probably going to be at least one more. A Conklin Crescent, 2NL. Picked up a couple things for myself, but that's about it. So that's and of course the next step here is to divide these out as to what can be sold, what needs restoration, what doesn't. And I did. David, I figured out the missing $5. I try to keep. Last year in Ohio, I kept really good records. In fact, I was able to nail down every dollar that I spent, and like to the penny. And as I was adding it up this morning, I realized I was $5 off, and I couldn't figure out where that missing $5 was, because I really made a strong point to, if I had to, literally just step aside, step out of the room to write down my purchases. And I wrote down the wrong number for the purchase of these two pens. I was $5 off. So everything zeroed out. That's 2 shows in a row. That will make Lisa very, very happy. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I just thought that was cute, and the price was like stupid. So maybe I give them away, raffle them off, whatever. So I've yammering on now for an hour and a half about the show. My travel woes. Let's see. I really don't want to get into vacuumatics. See, this is a perfect example, and I preach this all the time. You're tired. You're not in the mood. You don't have mental capacity to focus. You really should not be repairing pens. I'm going to do very little. Very, very little. These. Cleaning isn't the same as repairing? Yeah. Or maybe do some assembly, I think is what I'm going to do. This pen really needs to get fixed. I'm going to do this one first. I need to make progress on this. This is one of those cases where I'm going to work on it. If you do a little bit each day, eventually it gets it gets done. And this this was finished, and then the tube pulled out after I had sealed it up. Okay. So we're going to try to seal this up again, and then this gentleman who's been waiting, I mean, not excessively long. It's long for me because normally my turnaround time is within the week. I just would like him to get his pen back. You need to find places for everything you bought now. Yeah, and you bought some cool stuff. Really cool stuff. You know, Mont Blanc 84, huh? That is different. Come on. There we go. Needs to be thoroughly cleaned, but the piston works. Yeah, you know, sometimes when those pistons work, you're just like, you know, it's great. It's the best feeling in the world. Yeah, Faber-Castell piston works great, you know. Osmond had some amazing Mont Blancs this time. You wish he had 4,500 to spare. Yeah, and I think the other, so yeah, Osmond was there. He had some really nice pens. And Jonathan Steinberg was there and had maybe the, well, without question, the largest more safety I have ever seen. I don't know what size it was. Um, I'm in no condition to be purchasing anything like that. I mean, if I saved $100 a day, it would take me a long time to be able to afford that thing. It was like a jumbo. I don't even know if it was probably large. I didn't know if they made it number 10 size, but it was huge. It was literally like that big around. And of course it was tucked all the way. Number 12, maybe. Yeah, it was so big. So big. It's a miracle something like that survives. One of the most outstanding, really one of the most outstanding pens of the show, I think. I mean, yeah, Osman had some great stuff too, but there were a lot of modern dealers, a lot of turners, what I would call turners, pen makers. In fact, a lot of them, including a couple of distributors, were all like down the one aisle, which sort of made it easy for me because I didn't have to go down that aisle because I knew there was nothing in that aisle that I was going to buy. There was a little side room, and I always feel bad for the people in that room because, you know, whatever show it is, it's almost like a little tiny narrow hallway. And there was one vendor I was buying from in there. I probably bought 4, 5, 6. I probably bought 8 or 9 pens from that one particular vendor. I asked him on I think it was Saturday. So how's your show going so far? He goes, well, it's pretty good because since you bought a bunch of stuff for me. Nice guy, real nice guy. I wish he'd had more stuff. He has more at home. I bet he does. Hey, here we go. I only ran into one person who had no idea that I had closed my Chicago store. So that was that was pretty good. Although it becomes more comical the further along it goes. It becomes more comical to have to tell the story. Like, well, back in the summer of '09, you also got the green balance B, much better than the photos made out. Good. Always good when that's the case. Because most of the time it is not the case. Alright, I didn't bother to change my water, but we didn't really do anything that affect the filling system of this pen, so I'll test it with a little water later, maybe. Oh, actually, I gotta keep it on. So that's good. On to the side. And I'm just going to assemble this pen. And I do have to give props again to my buddy David, because he was keeping me running all weekend. Hey, you got to come here and check this out. Do you need this for stock? He was like my own personal picker at the show. As they say, 4 eyes are better than 2, so. And he's got good taste and a very good eye for spending other people's money is fun. I mean, I'll buy you dinner at every show if you can pull off what you pulled off this last weekend. Well worth the money. Because some of that stuff I never would have come across. I mean, I would have come across it, but sometimes you're tired. You don't feel like, well, do I really need another oversized balance? I think we kind of have to try this pen here. I think we're going to try this pen today. You tend to look at every shape or nib in the ballroom, so you see a lot. I mean, it worked out great for me. I just need to I need to be like 2 tables behind you, because in some of those cases, I was like, I remember at one point, I couldn't find, you mean everyone? Yeah, I bet you do. At one point, I was trying to get back into that side room where I bought all the Volexes and all that stuff from that gentleman. And I, for the life of me, couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. I walked around. I'm like, where the hell did did they close the door? Was I dreaming? I mean, how tired am I? I mean, it must have taken me 30 minutes to find it. But what they had done is they had all the doors closed off. So you come in and you check in, and then you literally have to go in the hallway, around, and then at some point there's a outer hallway. There's a magic door that only opens for you. Yeah. And then you go into the big ballroom. It was just very confusing. It was, I mean, I had it figured out by the end of the weekend, but so. But yeah, it was, but there were a couple times, David would text me, hey, you gotta come here. You gotta see this. I think I got something for him. I'm like, okay. And I'd be as far away as humanly possible. In fact, in the case of Friday's story that we're going to talk about, I don't think I could have been any further away. Well, I was actually out of the ballroom, but I was as far away out of the ballroom as you could get. And in that instance, I was summoned by text and then immediately by a phone call. And we don't usually talk to each other on the phone. We text a lot, but um, when there's a phone call, it's important. Because yeah, I gotta go. It actually saved me from a conversation, so that kind of worked out. But next time I'm gonna be like three tables behind him, so I don't have to walk as far. All right, 452 Pansy panel. This turned out all right. Nice black. It was serious. Um, Had I not talked Gary out of that pen, it would have been, had I been 5 minutes late or been out to lunch or asleep, it would have, well, we would have had an hour and a half. I put my thing here. We would have saved ourselves an hour and a half of running around the room. But I tell you what, I would say I was getting bored, but there comes a point where you've looked at everything, and it's not like people usually bring out an extra tray of stuff. You need to go to a pen show with someone who can tell you if something is a good deal. Find Brian and I, and you never know what might happen. Yeah, actually, David and I are thinking about starting a business. I don't know how this would work, but we tried it out on Saturday. You pay us, and we'll find you whatever you're looking for in the showroom, which is basically what we ended up doing. Yes, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, you got to keep up because we were, and I hate to use the buzzwords in terms like laser focus, but that's exactly what it was. You hear that? Just like going to gaming conventions can lap the showroom. Yeah. You go only so many times, and you know some people. There was one table of a huge table. It was, gosh, what was it? 3 tables probably. Lots of pens. I could have looked at those pens on the table, but every time you go to the table, the vendor was constantly, and like it was the high pressure sales pitch. Oh, well, how many pens can I sell you today? Well, what can I get for you? Like, just let me effing look. Let me look. I don't need your help. I've been doing this long enough. Maybe not as long as you, but I can guarantee I've sold more pens than you. You got a lot, but leave me alone. And I just stopped going. I just stopped going to his table. I just walked right by. I got tired of that. Yeah, you know that. Yeah. Just let me look. I know there's not going to be anything in there that I'm going to buy because everything is priced like way, way too much. I mean, even it's higher than retail. That stuff. Like I don't know how he makes any money. Triple price. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it was all business. We were all business on Friday or Saturday. All business. There was no. I was sweating bullets for a while there. That waiting around crap was Japanese jumbo with the broken clip for $200. Yeah, but I think we got to figure out. We got to figure out. I mean, an hour and a half we determined that was probably a $500 value to this client. Because not only did we get him a good deal on what he was looking for, we told him exactly where to go. We knew what he wanted. We found the pen for him. Wow. Oh, and I did get my at the very, 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 very last minute, I did get my Waterman 58 nib fixed. So now I have a working Waterman 58, and it wrote like a charm. The only problem is I had to dump all the ink out before I flew, so I got to clean it out actually. This is nice. I mean, I'm not surprised this is nice. The owner of this pen, he used it for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, the dude had a lot of pens to look at, but he needs to sit behind the table. He's always in front of the table and he's always showing you stuff. Um, and I can't deal with that. I'm not going to, it leads me to another story of another vendor who had a pen I was pseudo interested in, only because I actually already own the pen. I already have one. You're going to want a custom nib grind on one of your pens and not a lot more from your first show. Yeah, well, there's a lot there's a lot to know just to do that, right? Get there early, sign up on the list. First thing you do. Yeah, let me sell myself the pen. We stopped actually David and I happened to be together at this point. And it became comical how annoying the seller was. He had a beautiful Aiken Lambert hand engraved overlay, cap and barrel, gold filled. I have one. It's a nice pen. Wrong nib. Got a Waterman nib on it. I guarantee you it's the wrong nib. I know this pen. And I forget exactly how the deal went down because it was so comically embarrassing. But he's like, make an offer. I'm like, I can't, it's not, I don't really need it. I already have one. If it was the right price, maybe I would buy it because maybe I've got the nib, but it's the wrong nib and I don't really need it. Well, then it was a real high pressure sales pitch to try to make me buy this pen that I didn't really, really want. And I'm thinking to myself, if it was $125, I would buy it, but I'm not going to insult the man. And that's the thing, it's key to not insult the vendor with a lowball offer if you know what something's worth. If you see a Pilot Custom 823 at a table and they sell for, what do they sell for now? $350. You don't offer $75. Yeah, he asked for any offer, and then he was almost more than insulted. It's happened to you with him many times. He was so insulted and he was like almost abusive, and his wife was like, no, come on. And just, basically she was like, settle down. But I mean, he wanted double what I really wanted to pay. I mean, but I knew it. I knew I wasn't going to tell him what I wanted to pay because it wasn't right. He wanted him to sell. Yeah, she'd have had $125. If he wouldn't have been I hate to say it, if he wouldn't have been such a dick, I would have bought it for $125. With the right nib, cleaned up. I mean, it's an eyedropper, so there's really not much to do. But with the right nib cleaned up, it could be a $350, $400 pen. So I get where he was coming from. This guy's personality, well, yeah. But, the right nib on that pen's going to run you at least $100. At least, if you can find it. Ironically, I think I found one earlier in the day for like maybe 60. So, But yeah, that was kind of funny. Like and usually what I do is if somebody, and this is a good tip for people who don't negotiate well or don't know how to negotiate or don't like to negotiate because it's not really fun. It's usually if I know we're miles apart. And particularly if there is already a price on the pen, right? If there's a price tag on the pen and the guy says, well, make me an offer or whatever. What I buy from you, I can't, I'll get back to that. So what I usually do is if I know we're miles apart, like in this case, I say, listen, I don't need it. I don't want to, I don't, the price that would make me want to buy this would be insulting to you. And I just tell them flat out. So they know how low it is. If they then persist and they want to be insulted, then I'll tell them a number. And then they'll go, oh, well, I can't do that. I was like, I told you. Yeah, so buying from David is like, it's the best experience ever because, we lay out the pens and then he says, okay, well, what do you think? I'm interested in these. I don't remember how many it was, 15, 20 pens, something like that. And then we went down the line. I mean, and the price was right. The price at every single one of them was right. Anybody would have done right to buy every single one of those. For me, I'm not keeping them. I'm selling them. I'm reselling them, cleaning them up if need be, restoring them if need be. So I could have made money in every single one of them, but I have certain, in my mind, margin requirements, how much I need to make. I'm not going to spend $75 on a pen if I can only sell it for 100. It doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, okay, that's money's money, but I can spend that 75 on something else and get double my money. Then I would rather do that. So, I just, like you could do better. You could do better selling this to someone else. And then I took, what did I take? I don't know, 10 pens. You ended up selling 2 of the better pocket pens you had late on Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. David, you understand me. You know where I'm coming from. So it's different when we're trading and there's a pen that I want that I want to keep because then it's different. Which, I try not to tell you what I'm going to keep because then the power's on your side of the table. There's still things like that, but yeah, you know what I'm going to keep. I don't have to tell you. It was quality fun trading. Trading is really fun. Especially if there's weird things on either side. And we had, it was probably a very, I don't know if that's the weirdest trade we've ever done, but it was a pretty weird trade because we ended up with a, who made Lakeside? It's not a National Pen Products, but Montgomery Ward. Is that a Montgomery Ward? Maybe it is National Pen Products. But we ended up with I had an oversized Lakeside with solid 14 karat gold cap bands. Like 4 of them. There's 4 of them on the cap. Yeah, you know what I'm going to keep without telling you. Yeah. Which it is the most obnoxious thing on a pen that's. You have a shaver stub nib that will fit it. Yeah, that might be a fun way to do it. But I mean, it's like any other day of the week. It's an oversized 3rd tier pen, and there's not a single person in the room would buy that thing. But it has 4, count them, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, marked solid 14 karat gold cap bands. Like 3 on the top and 1 on the, or is it? Yeah, I think it's 3 on the top and one cap band. Super weird. Oversized, so it's super large. It was in my parts bin. Like, well, what is this? And then I looked at it, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What's this mark on the cap band? Gary, you bought the Le Mans 100 and a Noto number 50. Oh, and you got a hard rubber dollar pen and 6 other extra, but great. Is that from your horse winning money? Oops, I guess the Shalana can go. Does the pencil work? Yeah, it kind of works. Yes, and more. Okay, good. Yeah, I sold a couple things at the show, so I had a little extra money in the kitty, and it kind of worked out. Also from your pen sales. Yeah, look at you. This pen sale thing's working out for you, isn't it? You gotta watch out. It's weird. I don't know why it is on this new salad spinner. I don't. Maybe it's because it's completely transparent, but I can't see. I can't. Maybe I'm cleaning them better. I can't see the ink and the water coming out of the pen as easily as I did on my other spinner. I mean, it's there. It's clearly there. Such a pretty set. You sold 18 pens and you have 39 listed. Wow. Good for you. I should go and check those out. I need to buy. So I had a pen deal that I had started with a gentleman in England last week. And it all started because he sent me he sent me an email about an Esterbrook that's been kind of on my list for a long time. 20 years easily. 20 years. And he has the pen. It's in the saddest possible state of affairs. It's missing the cap. The section is cracked. And there's what appears to be like, and I'm hoping it's just, there's a buildup of tape on the barrel. It looks like tape. I think it's so that the replacement cap that was used fits on there. I think it's because it's further down the barrel, or it was used for a grip or something. So hopefully that just comes off. But the section is cracked and there's no cap. And so we talked about it. And we agreed that he was going to send it to me for free for the cost of postage. I didn't ask for that. He volunteered. I said, well, that's fine. I'll pay, I mean, it's going to cost me 20 or 30 bucks to get it shipped over from England. So that's great. He says, well, are you interested in any other pens? Well, as a matter of fact, yes. And so he sends me some pictures. It's nothing to get excited about. It's all garden variety stuff. Some dip pens and some nibs and stuff like that. But I think we used to sell a dip pen nib mix pack. 10 random dip pen nibs, and people loved it. Yeah, and real super cheap. You don't get a choice. You get 10 random nibs. And it was super cheap, and we sold out every single one we had. And so now I'm getting these like random nibs, and like, okay, that'll work. Some ballpoints and all English stuff. So fine. I said, well, I'll pay you X. And he says, well, I'll say pay X plus the shipping. He says, well, that's fine. I'll send it. Don't pay me until you get it and you got a chance to look at it. That's fair. So he sends me an email over the weekend. I guess it was over the weekend. It literally took me an hour this morning to go through my emails. And he says, I sent it out. He didn't give me tracking, so but he sent it like slow boat to America. With the following sentence. Let me see if I can grab it here. The following addendum. And I quote, "There's a Parker ink pen that will be loose in the base of the box. As I found this under my desk, and there was a hole in the box corner through which the pen could be inserted. I wonder what that might be. What kind of Parker? Is it a ballpoint? Is it a fountain pen? Is it a rollerball? Is it English dual fold? Is it dual fold? What kind of Parker could that be? A Parker snake in England. Wouldn't that be something? You gonna try out your new pen cleaner? You see about sharing your find somebody? Yeah, it'd be fun. I'll try to get the screen share thing. It's for whatever reason the screen share thing now is more complicated than it used to be. I have to set it up in advance if I know I'm going to be doing that. A Sterling Silver, yeah. Would it be nice if it's a Sterling Silver 75? I mean, I don't know. It's probably an English dual fold, is what I'm guessing it's going to be, because there's like 2 or 3 other English dual folds in the mix. So it's on its way. I don't know how long it's going to take to get here. So that was kind of funny. Shouldn't take too long, though, I don't think. Anyway, it's 4:00. That's my mental capacity for repair. So I got these 2 pens. At least they're finished and ready to go. They can go back to their owners, which is good. And I got a decent night's sleep last night, but I get to sleep in tomorrow a little bit. Yeah, thanks. Have a great night. Yep. I get to sleep in a little bit tomorrow, and I'll go to bed early tonight. And I think I'll be just hopefully back to normal tomorrow. My legs are still really hating that. If there's a gold medal award, if there's a gold medal for running through 2 concourses at an airport, I think I won it. At least I was on the podium. Anyway, so thanks for listening to me ramble on, showing off my finds. If there's anything in there that you have to have, yeah, I gotta watch. Yeah, so so the Strada Bianchi was on Saturday, and I have this thing where I really want to watch it. I don't want to know who wins. Rest up and recover. Yeah, thanks, Dustin. I really don't want to know who wins, but then what I inevitably do, my mind, I open my phone, I click on Facebook, and the first thing I see is the winner of the Strada Bianchi. It looks fantastic. I don't know how it happened, but I really for one year during the Tour de France, I cut out a piece of paper and I taped it on my phone over the Facebook and the Instagram icons and said no. Because I'll click on it and I'll find out who wins before I even watch it. And it'd be nice for it to be a surprise. Because someday it's not always going to be Tadej Pogacar. Yeah, Perry Nice is on. So now I need to go back and I need to now, because I think that's all on HBO Max. I need to renew my HBO Max subscription. So yeah. That's a good idea. I'll probably go sign up for. Maybe I might get a trial or something. But I think Max has got all the early spring classics on. So, well, any deal is better than no deal, right? Anyway, tomorrow should be let's see, tomorrow's Tuesday. Yeah, so Tuesday we'll do the regular schedule. I'm gonna start sorting these pens, and maybe we'll start cleaning some so we can get them out, and I can get them photographed. Yeah, I need different spring classics. And then we'll get back to those backs eventually, and we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in today, everyone. I really appreciate it. and listening to my show report and whatever. And there'll be more pens and there'll be more stories throughout the week, I am sure. So have a great evening, a great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take care, everyone. Bye now.